everyone. This is Amy Moskowitz. I'm the reference manager at the Haverford Township Free Library, and this is Lunchbreak with a Librarian. This is a new program in which we interview librarians and different important members of the community to get to know a little bit more about them. And our librarian that we are interviewing today is Jennifer Coons. She's a reference manager at our Haverford Township Free Library. And before we start with Jennifer, I just would like to let everybody know that we have started our curbside service at the library. So we would like to invite everybody back, not inside the building just yet, but we would like to invite you to the curb, to the front door, to pick up some books and pick up your materials. You can request books and materials online or over the phone. So please start utilizing that service. We would like to welcome you back. We've missed you so much over the last few months. So please utilize our curbside service and start requesting your books and your materials on our website or over the phone. The staff is here and ready to help you start getting some of those materials that you've been missing. So now I'd like to begin without any further ado. Here's Jennifer Coons, our reference librarian, and we have some questions to get to know her a little bit better. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
So, Jennifer, we'd like to know, what do you love most about being a librarian?
I love a lot of things about being a librarian, and to name a few, the first is that I'm a very, very curious person, and I love learning new things. And being a librarian just gives me endless opportunities to learn new things, whether it's tasks that my coworkers are asking me to do, or if patrons come in with an interesting reference question, or even a question about services, governmental services, or other kinds of services in the community. I get to learn about those services too, because I'm helping you find the information. And that it used to be that librarians were more keepers of collections and repositories. And it's more like now we're information managers or information purveyors in a way. Like if you need information, it's not that we know it, but we know how to help you find it. And the process of helping you find information helps me also find information, and I get very excited about all the new stuff that I learn. And I also, just tacking on to that, I love how libraries are community hubs. They're true community hubs. We don't ask anything from you. All you need to do is live in our community, and you get to enjoy everything that we have to offer. And what we have to offer is based on what you want. So we're always loving to know whatever we just sent out a survey for you to tell us the kind of programming that you might enjoy virtually, because we're doing mostly virtual programming right now. And any other thing that we can help you to do. Libraries are community centers that are meant to help their particular neighborhood. And this is something that's pretty rare these days. So we're not a franchise, we're not a business. Again, you don't need to give us any money. If the only thing, if you have an overdue book, then you pay for the overdue book, or if you lose something, you pay for that, but it goes right back into our services for you. We're not getting rich on this. So I love that too. I love that too about being a librarian, and getting to know your specific community is really fun. Also getting to know the individuals who come in and all that. And lastly, I really like librarians. I love hanging out with my colleagues because they're really cool. They're smart, interesting, very passionate about different things. Like some people are really passionate about graphic novels. Other people are really passionate about other kinds of books or materials, or maybe movies, or some kind of a certain type of history, or some kind of community service. Our children's librarians are fantastically creative people, and they're just really fun to hang out with. So.
Great. Well, what did you do before you were a librarian?
Before I was a librarian, I actually trained as a classical musician, and I trained very, very diligently and spent a lot of time in that profession. I freelanced, and the work was a little bit, it was hard to freelance. You always had to be on top of things and also keeping your playing up. And although I do love making music. I didn't like all of the isolation that was involved in spending long hours in the practice room. And I just found it to be, for me, very narrow. And that's why I was drawn to librarianship, because it just opens up all these avenues and areas of interest, and also offers more interaction with your community.
Well, you kind of jumped right into my next question. I was going to ask, what drew you to librarianship?
Yeah, so it was, I mean, first of all, I've always loved libraries. I loved like the actual buildings, because I found them to be sanctuaries, like non-religious sanctuaries, and always made it a practice to visit whatever library. When I traveled around the country or the world, I would find the local library and check it out. And they're so interesting, the different kinds of buildings. So there was that. I always felt a kinship with libraries, and also my sister-in-law she's actually an author, and also she writes historical fiction books, and she's also a librarian, has been a librarian for a long time in New York. And when I was sort of looking for a career change, I remember talking to her about it. It just was like a light bulb that went off, and I wish I'd done it sooner, but that's what got me here.
So you must be a voracious reader. What's your favorite genre?
So I don't have a specific genre, but I like the kind of book that helps me understand perspectives that are not my own and help me learn something new. And often by reading about characters who are living a life that's different than mine, I get to learn about different ways of thinking and different perspectives. And so it doesn't always need to be nonfiction. I do like nonfiction, but I think a good memoir that reads like fiction, and also fiction can offer really great perspectives. So some of my favorites were the book Amnesty that I just reviewed a couple of weeks ago, about the immigrant experience, this one man's experience as an immigrant, a Sri Lankan immigrant living in Australia. And that's something that opened my mind up to that whole deal. And also different memoirs I also enjoy. So.
Aside from reading, what are some of your hobbies?
Well, I do love to listen to podcasts, again, because I love learning new things. And so I have a lot of podcasts on my iPod. And I love walking, and love walking long distances, and love hiking. So sometimes I combine the two and listen while I move. My husband and I both like to hike a lot, so we've been listening to some things together lately. And I also like to garden, but I'm pretty much of a nerd. Like, I'm kind of a library nerd, so the type of thing I do for my work is often what I enjoy to do as a hobby also, like different kinds of nerdy research and stuff. So.
Nice. So speaking of nerdy things, what Harry Potter house are you?
Well, according to my daughter, who is totally Harry Potter, completely crazy Harry Potter girl. She's 19 now, but I'm told, after having taken several quizzes, that I'm 100% Ravenclaw. And I've always seen myself as more of a Gryffindor, but she says no. So I'll take her word for it.
Oh, got it. Do you have a favorite virtual program that you've done in the past 10 weeks? We've done several.
Yeah, I've pretty much enjoyed all of them. I think the one that's been the most interesting and rewarding has been the COVID check-in, because it's really challenging to keep up with all the news that's coming in. And I figured out a way one of the things that I enjoy about it is finding authoritative resources that I can refer to. And so I have like 4 or 5 of those, and then I'm always discovering new ones. And then I take in all the information as it comes in. And then sometimes it contradicts itself. And then there's research out there that's not yet peer reviewed and unpublished. And so scientific discovery and research is going on in real time. And I find that interesting. It's also challenging to try to understand it. So So I'm interested in how the studies are being reported as well as the studies themselves, if that makes sense. So I like to compare across different resources and media outlets. And then I try to write up something. I try to understand what I'm reading and then try to pick a topic and then write up something that is simple, somewhat simple to understand, and that can distill what's gone on in the news for that past week. Or sometimes I like to highlight a resource because there are a lot of really cool resources for sciencey nerds out there that can help you understand a lot about the disease and the public health implications of the disease. So I love the challenge of that, and then also trying to find a way to present it, either doing a tutorial on a website or creating some sort of visual that's interesting. And I'm still learning, so I'm enjoying the challenge of that a lot.
That's a really important and timely program. That's on Thursdays at 2.
Yes.
But then it's also uploaded to our YouTube channel and available afterwards for anybody that can't watch it live on Thursdays at 2.
And I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. So it's sort of like, this is what I just found out, and here's what I think it means. And here's a cool website you can go to find out more. But yeah.
But it's been great getting your, curated information and getting it, straight from a librarian. I think that that's a really important, getting those resources and getting it from a trusted source. So I think that our patrons have really appreciated it. On to a little bit of a more lighthearted topic. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, I have a dog. I have a dog, Hazel, who made an appearance in the video this morning because there were people in my house, and she tends to bark a lot and be annoying when there are new people in the house. And so she had to stay in the room with me, and sometimes just likes to put her nose up in my face and stuff.
So what advice would you give someone who wants to be a librarian?
I would say that, so I don't know if I mentioned before, but my sister-in-law who inspired me, I remember when we were talking about librarianship, she was just extolling the virtues of it as a profession. And one of the words she used was clean, in that there is no ulterior motive to us except for wanting to serve and wanting to serve our particular community. And so having said that, it's something that you can feel like, I just feel honored to be part of the institution of librarianship. And the other thing that's cool, actually I'm going into why I love being a librarian again, but this is what I would tell someone if they were interested in the profession, is that you can really come to it from any background. And whatever your background is, you're going to bring that to that particular kind of expertise, whether it's a specific expertise, like let's say you were in business and you wanted to be a business librarian, or you had a background in law and you're going to be a law librarian. Well, if you just wanted to work in a public library, whatever your background could also it might be a certain way of thinking that you have, or a certain approach you have to research or finding out information, or you might have a passion for public service. You might love giving presentations. Any kind of expertise you come to, or even if, let's say you didn't have a profession, you were a stay-at-home mom, but you had this, like, you're really creative with your kids and you had this ability to organize, schedules and all that stuff. Those are great skills too. So that's why a lot of people come into the profession as a second profession, because it lends itself really well to that. So that wasn't necessarily advice, but it was kind of like saying, you can really start this at any time in your life. I also think it's worthwhile to get a degree. I mean, there's some debate on that right now. For one, it does allow you to get paid a little more than you might, and no one goes into this for the money, but it does allow you to get paid a little more. And there's also like a fundamental, the fundamentals of the philosophy behind this kind of public service and other things I think that are important to learn that really helped me by getting a degree. And what else? Yeah. And I think just being aware that if you wanted to do something for the money, this might not be the thing for you. We do get paid, which is nice, but it's not like you're going into, I want to say insider trading. I don't know, like some term that's like financial financial services or something.
And lastly, what do you like about serving the patrons in this community?
Well, I like getting to know them. Obviously, I I just learn from them. I learn, even if it's just like a great book, or getting to know what this community is really about. Like when the different people come in, I get a larger sense of what this community, what makes this community tick. And there's nothing like a library to really know your neighborhood and the people that live in that area. And it's also, it's not like, the way that you get to know people through the library is through shared interests and a shared space. And we have we have behavior policies so that things don't get out of hand, and that everyone sort of behaves himself in the nicest way. So that's one of the things I like about getting to know my communities, is shared space with this background of a behavior code, and just learning from them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today, Jennifer. It was great getting to know you a little bit more, not just as a colleague, but getting to know a few of these other things about you. And thank you so much for sharing this information with all of us today. We're going to be having this program, Lunch Break with a Librarian, every Friday at 12:30. And every Friday it'll be somebody new interviewing somebody else. So please join us every Friday at 12:30, and you'll get to know about different people. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, glad to be here. And
thank you so much. Bye now.